I've been a long-time member, and I've seen the profession transition from what I would consider to be compensation to compensation and benefits to total rewards, and World at Work has kept pace, every step of the way.
To be able to be a part of the 50th anniversary celebration of World at Work is really a privilege for me, and speaks to how far the organization has come, the profession has come, and the contribution that we as professionals make to the companies that we work in.
It's very incredible to me that any volunteer association that is not for profit would be able to be celebrating a 50th anniversary in as strong a position as it's ever been. The 50th anniversary is a key milestone, but the exciting part is that it's not like a normal person's lifetime. This is just the beginning, I think, of the role that World at Work will play in businesses in the United States and Canada and the world at large in terms of helping organizations be more effective through their people.
The year was 1955. Dwight Eisenhower was president. Rock Around the Clock was the #1 hit single, and General Motors was the biggest corporation in America. Somewhere in the Deschler Hilton Hotel in Columbus, Ohio, the first official meeting of what was to become the world's largest association of employee rewards professionals came to order. Number in attendance, 37. The Ohio Wage and Salary Association was the result of an informal meeting the year before of 10 payroll practitioners gathered for a conference at the National Foreman's Institute in Cleveland. These far-sighted professionals were beginning to recognize the emergence of a new profession, one dedicated to the complexities and the potential of compensation. The world was changing in the boom of a post-war economy, and these individuals understood that in order to develop as a profession, they would need to form a community of like-minded professionals, share their knowledge of best practices and new strategies, and contribute to their career advancement as well as their profession. They didn't have all the answers. They were still grappling with many of the questions. But as Charles Van Horn put it in his closing speech of the association's 1957 meeting, "I am only certain of one thing: money is not the whole answer." Shortly after the founding of this grassroots organization, it began to grow, and with it the expanding role of the wage and salary specialist in the workplace. In 1957, the Ohio Wage and Salary Association became the Midwest Compensation Association, and just 6 years later, the American Compensation Association, reflecting both the growth of an organization and the maturity of a profession, which was shifting its thinking from payroll administration to a more comprehensive understanding of compensation and benefits management and how each affected the bottom line. The social, political, and economic forces of the 1960s and 70s led to tremendous change in the workplace, and they continue to shape it today. The civil rights movement, war protest, the influx of women in the workforce, the rise of inflation, and the two-wage earner family all played a role in gradually reshaping the employer-employee relationship. ACA found itself dealing with these complex issues by expanding its community through strong grassroots networks and sharing its institutional knowledge to further the advancement of people's careers and the profession itself. As past ACA President Julie Sackett points out, from the 1950s through the 1970s, this emerging association was a driving force behind establishing compensation as a profession, laying the groundwork for the total rewards field we know today. When unprecedented inflation caused economic upheaval in the early 1970s, ACA members advanced the profession even further by answering their government's call for help. Members provided critical information to policymakers and regulators in Washington to help them guide the country through tumultuous times. In 1974, ACA members collected vital data in the very first broad survey of salary increase budgets in the nation. The report was so useful it was updated in following years and has now become the renowned Salary Budget Survey, an indispensable industry resource. One of the more significant trends through the decades has been the growing opportunity for women in the profession and the association. In the 1950s and for much of the 1960s, programs were run entirely by men. Barbara Fisk McCormick was one of only 6 women attending her first national conference in 1970, a meeting so predominantly male, as McCormick recalls, even the name badges were designed to be worn only on the breast pocket of a man's suit. McCormick was forced to attach hers with the aid of a safety pin.
I worked in a company that did not have very many women. I'm dating myself, I know, but did not have very many women in management, and HR had an opening for a supervisor of salary administration. And a mentor of mine thought I would be good in the role and selected me to diversify HR on a gender basis and get more women in management. And so actually HR picked me. I did not pick HR, but that was 18 years ago, and I haven't looked back since. It's been a wonderful career.
A new era dawned for the profession and for ACA when it launched its educational programs, leading to the Certified Compensation Professional designation in 1976. Developed to further compensation as a profession, the CCP program filled a void in university curriculums by providing in-depth coverage of subject matter in an increasingly complex work environment. Today, it has become the premier certification for human resources professionals, a coveted credential that represents an expert understanding of the issues and complexities of the field. The success of the CCP led to the development of the Certified Benefits Professional designation in 1993, marking a milestone in the association's evolution toward total rewards. 5 years later, in 1998, the Global Remuneration Professional Program was instituted, reflecting the association's continued growth as an international organization.
The principal thing I think that accounts for the growth in the association were the educational programs, the certification courses, the courses themselves on the certification program, which established a foundation to the profession as to what one needed to know to practice in compensation, and that became the standard.
The 1990s saw the dawning of the electronic age, which had a profound effect on the world and the profession. The July-August 1989 edition of ACA News urged employers to computerize the job evaluation process, just in time to usher in this new era. By 1994, more than 3 million people were online. ACA launched its first official website in 1997, coinciding with the explosion of the web as a primary learning, communication, and commerce tool. Today, the WorldatWork website receives more than 1 million page views a month from members using it as an everyday resource for community, knowledge, and advancement. The association began as a grassroots organization, and fostering these professional communities has always been critical to our growth as an association. The late 80s and 90s were a time of tremendous expansion. Between 1985 and 1995, membership more than doubled, expanding beyond U.S. borders to become a truly global organization. Today, we have over 800 international members. More than 250 WorldatWork faculty teach courses in countries all around the world, from Canada to Switzerland, China to Australia, South Africa to Finland.
WorldatWork has been able to be there with the professionals as they've grown beyond this country, adapting the policies and practices that have worked well here around the world, and they've taken the educational program with them as they've gone, and that's amazing.
Events of the 1990s also reshaped the view of compensation and benefits as core components of human capital. Leaders began to develop the concept of a total reward strategy, focusing on all the knowledge areas associated with attracting, retaining, and motivating employees. After adopting the total reward strategy, it was evident that the name American Compensation Association no longer served the profession or the association as it should. After substantial discussion with stakeholders, the organization changed its name in 2000 to WorldatWork, a brand that represents far more than a name change. It provides a new foundation for the association's evolution as a global total rewards organization.
American Compensation Association was a little too limited, and it only talked about the American. And we were doing international compensation, and we were doing compensation and benefits. So we looked to expand the title of the organization to reflect what the membership had evolved to.
As part of its ongoing mission to provide high-quality content in total rewards, WorldatWork welcomed Alliance for Work-Life Progress as an affiliate in 2003. AWLP provides thought leadership and education that enhances community, knowledge, and advancement in our profession. In 2004, WorldatWork formed WorldatWork Society of Certified Professionals to focus on certification and professional standards and serve as an alumni network for those who have earned the prestigious WorldatWork certifications.
I think WorldatWork, just in the past year, it sounds like, has made some really good strategic moves in terms of getting more involved with work-life issues and all the issues that are broader than just compensation. I mean, I think we've been in the past couple of years in an economy that has required different things from compensation. Human resource professionals are, we have better retention of employees. We're not losing people as fast. So we have to now move to other things that keep employees motivated and interested in their work. And WorldatWork seems to be going in the right direction.
As we begin our next 50 years, WorldatWork faces many new issues and challenges. Just as the association's founders tackled pay administration complexities in the 1950s, WorldatWork members today are charting new territory in total rewards. The looming retirement of the baby boom generation, for instance, presents major implications for human resources in retirement planning, healthcare costs, and strategies for attracting, retaining, and motivating employees in an ever-tightening labor market. Whatever the future holds, one thing is certain: WorldatWork members, leaders, and educators will continue to provide the integrated strategies necessary to tie rewards to employee engagement, productivity, and business success. As they did from the very beginning, our members will foster the community and spread the knowledge that results in advancement of the profession as well as the careers of the people they serve.
I was just thinking back on how different the world is today from what it was in 1955, and I think WorldatWork has just done a wonderful job of evolving with it. And as I look at 50, I think we should do two things. I think we should celebrate the past, and I think we should look forward to the next 50 and how we will continue to contribute and evolve over that time period. But it's a great time to celebrate. We have a lot to be proud of.
The ACA has always stood for quality of professional development, and it has also moved with the changes. I think in fact, ACA, when we all talked about performance pay and merit pay and then brought in the stock options and so on, I think it has always been the combination of practitioners and consultants and experts in the field, and we brought together the whole team of people who are concerned. Ed Lawler, for instance, or Mark Wallace, and a number of these people have contributed their thought leaders. So it brought the thought leaders together and the practitioners together. It was always fun, but it was always the highest professional quality of anything that they do. The educational seminars or the educational classes or the conferences. I've been attending conferences for umpteen years, but every year when I come, or every time I come, it's a fascinating improvement that I see.
What I just really enjoyed was spending 10 years as the exhibit manager and had the joy of seeing it grow from 39 booths the first year that I did it to 197 the last year I did it.
The profession is continuing to evolve at a really rapid pace. As companies are challenged in a global business environment these days, certainly our members and professionals are challenged more and more each day to demonstrate ROI on what they're doing and on human capital strategy. I think you're going to see the profession and WorldatWork more and more be involved in surveys and research and development of more intellectual capital in the areas of total reward strategy integration and the importance of that to organizations and certainly to individuals' productivity and success in their jobs, because that's pivotal for organizational success as well.
Well, I go back, not a few years, I go back a few decades. I joined WorldatWork when it was the American Compensation Association in 1963. So I go over 40 years back. As a matter of fact, I was very active. It was a very small organization at the time. and set up what was then the first region, which was the New York or the Eastern region, with Bud Crystal, another well-known name in the industry. From there, I moved on and continued to do work with WorldatWork.
It's the best people are on the board of WorldatWork, and over the years, you just knew it was quality, and if you heard it from the WorldatWork, you knew that was something you could believe and trust in.
Well, I've served over those 25 years in various capacities, but my greatest focus has been in the educational program, and I have seen the educational program expand from a small core of 5 courses, which were about very basic fundamental compensation issues, to a wide range of courses that span compensation and benefits and that are global in nature. It's been an incredible evolution in the educational program.
Well, the association brought me first colleagues who are equal to or better than I, and therefore I could learn from them, and personal friends that I've had for 30 and 40 years who I still associate with today as personal friends and visit on a regular basis, whether they're in Florida or California.
I've worked at WorldatWork for 18 years, and all of those 18 years I've truly enjoyed it. I've been in a lot of different positions, and it's given me a chance to really meet a lot of the different people and have interaction with them, and I'll remember that for the rest of my life.
I remember when the courses were originally held in Scottsdale in a hotel room, and Jess Smith at the time would bring out the introductions every evening after the class. So it was a small group back then, and it's expanded to a huge group now compared to where we were back in the early 70s. Yeah, we'd actually rent a hotel room. It wasn't a teaching room. They'd actually clear out the beds and such, and you'd be right there on the ground level, and people would be walking outside in front of your room as the instructor was trying to be up in front of the room teaching a class on compensation statistics or designing market-based pay programs.
WorldatWork is focused very much in terms of where things are going. What I've seen deliberately over the last few years has been a change from being reactive to what's happening in the marketplace and trying to design product and opinions to trying to bring forward emerging issues as they happen so that practitioners in the field, whether it's in compensation, benefits, international compensation, work-life experience, executive compensation, that they have an idea of what are the leading edge issues. And I think this has been a deliberate change, and I think it's been welcomed by a lot of people in the organization, that it's not just something they can read about after the fact. They can now get the advice and the information they need as things are happening to help practitioners form better policy decisions.
Over the 20 years that I've been here, over 14,000 people have been certified with WorldatWork.
We were teaching a seminar in Oakland, and in the early days they used to have the instructor actually proctor the exam as well. And so I was staying over for the 3rd day in Oakland, and I was proctoring the exam, and right next to us in one of the ballrooms, they had the cheerleader tryouts for the Oakland Raider cheerleaders. And it was extremely noisy and loud, and here I was trying to proctor the exam. The participants were obviously concerned, and they wanted me to see if there was a quieter area where they could take this exam. But as it turned out, there wasn't, and that's when WorldatWork started providing earplugs for participants when they take the exam, and they actually had those available for participants.
Our members would agree that WorldatWork has been very successful and will continue to be successful through the years. For the next 50 years, I hope.